Did you know that Mercury is about to send out its clearest signal of the entire year? It's subtle, it's fleeting, and yet, for those who are aware, those who are open to receiving the deeper messages of the cosmos, this could be a transformative moment. In the days leading up to April 21st, Mercury, the planet of communication, thought, and mental clarity, will shine at its brightest and most visible point in the early morning sky. For a short window, just before dawn, it will rise in the quiet hours before the sun, standing alone in the eastern sky like a cosmic messenger delivering something important. Perhaps something your soul has been waiting to hear. It's the kind of moment that most people won't even realize is happening. And yet, for those who do pause to notice, for those who take even a few quiet minutes to step outside and gaze at the horizon, something subtle but profound might begin to stir. This is not just astronomy, it's energetic alignment, a chance to receive clarity, insight, and even healing from a source far beyond the rational mind. If you've been feeling caught in uncertainty, torn between choices, overwhelmed by mental noise, or simply longing for a sign, this is your invitation. A moment like this isn't loud or obvious. It's more like a whisper of truth that gently lands in your heart when you make space for it. This is your cosmic cue, the kind of energy that brings breakthroughs, not through force, but through presence. Before we go deeper, let's take a breath together. Close your eyes, soften your shoulders, and take a slow, deep inhale. Let your exhale ground you here in this moment. Feel your feet connecting with the earth. And when you're ready, speak this simple but powerful affirmation, either silently or out loud. I am aligned with clarity and truth. Let those words echo through your body. Let them settle into your heart. This small ritual, this conscious act of alignment, helps you attune your inner frequency to the message Mercury is sending out. It opens you up to the clarity that is already within you, waiting to be heard. That clarity isn't always found in thinking harder or doing more. Sometimes it arrives through stillness, through presence, through trust. Now let's explore what's actually happening in the skies right now and why it matters. Mercury is reaching what's known as its greatest western elongation, a mouthful of astronomical jargon that carries a surprisingly poetic significance. Because Mercury is the innermost planet in our solar system, it never strays far from the sun from our point of view on Earth. Most of the time, it's hidden within the blinding light of dawn or dusk, invisible to the naked eye. But when Mercury reaches its greatest elongation, about 27.4 degrees away from the sun, it finally pulls far enough away from the sun's glare to become visible, just for a short time. This particular elongation is called western, because Mercury will appear in the morning sky just before sunrise, rising in the east. It's a rare and beautiful thing to witness. If you wake early, before the sky brightens, and look toward the horizon with a clear view, you might see it. A small, silver-white dot glowing low in the sky. That's Mercury, stepping out of the light, speaking its truth. And this is more than just a pretty sight. It's an energetic gateway. The time around Mercury's elongation is not only ideal for physical visibility, it also symbolizes a moment when Mercury's energy becomes more accessible to us on a deeper, more intuitive level. Mercury is the planet of communication, thought, information, perception, and understanding. And during this window, its energetic frequency is strong and clear. It's like tuning a radio and suddenly catching the station perfectly. No static, no interference, just pure signal. So what does that mean for you? It means this is a powerful time to listen more deeply to your inner voice, to seek clarity in situations that have felt foggy or confusing, to speak your truth, not with aggression, but with confidence and calm, to write, journal, express, or simply reflect on where you are and where you wish to go next. If you've been holding back from making a decision, this is a supportive time to trust your instincts and take a step forward. If you've been struggling to communicate with someone in your life, this moment offers a gentle boost in clarity and connection. And the beauty is, you don't need anything special to access this. No telescope, no app, no complicated ritual. All you need is a little time, an open heart, and a willingness to be still. If you can, wake up early on one of the days around April 21st. Step outside, look to the east before the sun rises. Let the sky speak to you. Let Mercury's light remind you that clarity is never truly out of reach. It just requires space. There is something incredibly sacred about the hours just before dawn. The air feels different. The world is quiet. Time slows down. In that space, the veil between the physical and the energetic feels thinner. You can feel the universe breathing with you. You can hear the thoughts behind your thoughts. You can feel the truth behind your questions. Mercury's visibility in the morning sky is also symbolic. Mornings are beginnings. They are thresholds between the dream world and the waking world. When Mercury appears at dawn, it's like a cosmic reminder that every day is a fresh chance to choose clarity, a fresh opportunity to align with truth, a moment to remember that even when things feel uncertain, there is a wisdom far greater than your fear, guiding you gently and consistently toward understanding. For those on a spiritual path, this alignment can feel like a message from the universe, a nudge, a quiet but undeniable pulse saying, "You're not lost, you're listening," and that's enough. Sometimes the greatest clarity doesn't come from finding answers. It comes from learning to ask better questions, from trusting that you already hold what you seek. Mercury doesn't shout, it whispers, and in that whisper is power. It's in the way your intuition suddenly knows what to do, in the way a conversation flows more easily than expected, in the way your thoughts settle and your mind opens to new perspectives. You might find yourself having realizations you've been circling for weeks. You might receive news or information that shifts your direction. You might finally understand something about yourself or someone else that allows healing to begin. This energy is subtle, but it is transformative, and it's available to anyone who's willing to tune in. The days around Mercury's elongation are ideal for journaling, meditating, and setting clear intentions. This is a beautiful window to ask yourself questions like, what truth am I ready to speak? What clarity am I ready to receive? What thought patterns am I ready to release? What conversations need to be had, either with others or with myself? These questions don't demand immediate answers. They invite you into a relationship with clarity. They invite you to listen, to wait, to trust that the answers will come, not because you force them, but because you create the space for them. And that's the real magic of this moment. It's not about doing more. It's about being more present, more curious, more aligned. Mercury is reminding you that wisdom isn't always about gathering more information. It's often about listening more deeply to the truth you already carry. So, if life has felt noisy lately, if your mind has been racing, or your decisions have felt hard, know that the sky is offering you something gentle and sacred right now. A pause, a perspective, a little light on the horizon reminding you that clarity is always just a breath away. Take a moment sometime in the next few days to be with the sky. Let Mercury speak to you, not just as a planet, but as an archetype, as a symbol of thought, movement, curiosity, and growth. Let its brilliance be your mirror. Let its presence remind you that the answers you seek are already orbiting your awareness, waiting for a quiet moment to land. And if it feels aligned, Share your intention with the universe. Whisper it into the morning light. Write it in your journal. Speak it to the stars. Let Mercury carry your words and your truth across the sky like a sacred offering. I am aligned with clarity and truth. Let that be your anchor in the days ahead. And if you feel called to stay connected with these rhythms, to receive more moments of cosmic insight and gentle reminders from the sky, know that you're always welcome here. The cosmos is always moving, always teaching, always guiding us back to ourselves. And there is something incredibly beautiful about remembering that we too are part of that movement. You are made of stardust, after all. So when the stars speak, it only makes sense that something within you listens and remembers. What makes this particular Mercury event so special isn't something loud or flashy. There are no dramatic skies, no thunderclaps, no blazing streaks across the heavens. Instead, its beauty lies in its quiet emergence. Like a whisper before the dawn, Mercury reveals itself in the hushed hours of early morning. Those in-between moments when the world is still, when the sky is soft, and the veil between thought and feeling feels just a little thinner. It doesn't demand attention. It invites it. And for those who are open to seeing with more than just their eyes, this moment becomes far more than just an astronomical curiosity. It transforms into a deeply symbolic offering, an opportunity to reconnect with parts of ourselves that we may have lost sight of in the noise of life. Mercury, often hidden by the sun's overwhelming brilliance, steps delicately into view during its greatest western elongation, rising just ahead of the sunrise. This movement, this quiet appearance on the horizon, has a certain kind of magic to it. It feels like the cosmos is pulling back a curtain to reveal a long-forgotten part of the script. It's subtle, but it's powerful. It's as if the planet, known in astrology as the messenger, the thinker, the communicator, is finally ready to be seen and heard in a way that transcends logic and speaks directly to the soul. For many walking the path of personal evolution or spiritual awakening, this moment is much more than a beautiful sight in the sky. It's a reflection. It's a reminder. It's a symbol of stepping out of the shadows, not just in the heavens, but in our own lives. When Mercury pulls away from the dazzling grip of the sun and finds its own space in the sky, it mirrors a process we're often called to undertake within ourselves. It's the symbolic moment of emerging from confusion, from overwhelm, from being silenced or scattered or unclear. It says, "Here I am." And in that quiet declaration, there is a powerful invitation to do the same. This celestial unfolding gently nudges us toward a renewed relationship with our own voice, our truth, our clarity, our capacity to think and express ourselves with intention. Mercury's emergence isn't just something happening in the sky. It's something we feel in our minds and hearts. It arrives like a breath of fresh air after a long mental winter, a sunrise in our inner landscape after days or even weeks of clouded thought. Suddenly, ideas that once felt tangled begin to unravel. Emotions that were hard to name begin to surface with surprising ease. Conversations that once felt intimidating now carry a sense of possibility and openness. There is something uniquely tender about the timing of this moment. The quietness of it is part of its magic. The way Mercury appears just before dawn feels like a metaphor for the way understanding often comes to us, gently, softly, when we're still enough to receive it. It's not a thunderous revelation, but a subtle shift in awareness, the feeling of something clicking into place within. It's the kind of clarity that doesn't need to shout because it's rooted in truth. And that truth? It's different for everyone. For some, it might come as a sudden realization about a decision that's been weighing heavily. For others, it could be a deeper insight about their path, their purpose, or a pattern they've been stuck in. For many, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one that starts not with action, but with awareness. The awareness that you're ready to be seen, to speak honestly, to trust your inner voice more fully, to bring light to the parts of you that have been tucked away, waiting patiently for you to remember them. If you felt caught in mental loops lately, stuck between choices, or overwhelmed by overthinking, this Mercury moment might feel like a kind of mental sunrise. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast inner horizon and watching the first golden rays of understanding pierce through the fog. That's the energy this brings. It's gentle, but transformative. It doesn't force clarity. It allows it. It holds space for your thoughts to breathe, to stretch out, and to find their rhythm again. Even if astrology isn't something you typically follow, there's a quiet awe in simply witnessing Mercury rise in the early hours. There's a humility in watching the stars do their dance, in realizing that these celestial bodies have been moving in rhythm long before we arrived, and will continue long after. But in moments like these, their movements feel personal. They speak in symbols, in synchronicities, in subtle nudges. And if you're open to receiving, they can guide you back to your center. Mercury's greatest Western elongation is one of those cosmic thresholds that invites us to come home to ourselves. It's not about doing more, pushing harder, or figuring everything out at once. It's about turning inward, listening deeply, reflecting with honesty. What are you feeling? What thoughts have been circling in your mind, waiting for your full attention? What truths are ready to be spoken, not just to others, but to yourself? This isn't a time for avoidance. It's a time for tenderness, for curiosity, for compassionate self-inquiry. Mercury governs the mind, yes, but it also governs how we connect, how we interpret, how we translate the world around us into meaning, when it becomes visible in this way. It's as though the sky is offering us a mirror, inviting us to take a long, honest look, not with judgment, but with love, to see what has been hiding beneath the surface, to recognize where we've been afraid to speak, to acknowledge where we've been silencing ourselves out of fear, uncertainty, or habit. As you tune into this energy, you might notice a desire to write, to speak, to have conversations that feel real and nourishing. You might feel called to journal, to voice something you've been carrying, to express your truth even if it trembles. This is Mercury working through you, asking you to stop hiding, to stop doubting, and to start showing up for yourself with more presence and integrity. And perhaps most beautifully, this isn't a fleeting window. The effects of Mercury's emergence linger. The clarity you begin to feel now can shape the days and weeks ahead. Like planting a seed in soil that's finally soft and ready, your insights can grow into changes, both inner and outer, that are deeply aligned with who you are becoming. Spiritually, this event is an initiation, a quiet rite of passage into a new level of self-awareness. Mercury doesn't just rule logic, it also governs magic. The magic of understanding, of communication, of connecting the dots between our inner world and the world around us. When Mercury becomes visible like this, it's a signal that your own mental fog is lifting, that your intuition and intellect are ready to work in harmony, that you are ready to receive and trust the guidance that's been whispering to you all along. So pause, breathe, step outside in the early morning if you can, and find Mercury low on the horizon. Let it remind you of what's possible when you give yourself space to see clearly. Let it show you the beauty of emerging slowly, gracefully, on your own terms. Let it inspire you to speak your truth, not just for the sake of being heard, but because it matters. Because your voice matters, your clarity matters, your presence, your insight, your journey, they all matter. This isn't just about Mercury, It's about you. It's about the way you're learning to meet yourself with more gentleness. The way you're beginning to trust that your truth is worth listening to. The way you're remembering that clarity doesn't always come from effort. It often comes from allowing, from opening, from being willing to see what's been there all along. And if you're still in the fog, if the clarity hasn't arrived just yet, don't worry. This moment isn't a demand. It's an invitation. The skies are opening a door. You don't have to rush through it. You only need to be willing to walk toward the light, to lean into the emerging truth, to let the whispers become words and the thoughts become knowing. This is an alignment that doesn't scream for attention. It hums gently beneath the surface, calling to those who are willing to slow down and listen. When Mercury aligns in such a way, it doesn't just influence our outer communication, it fine-tunes the internal dialogue we often overlook. It sharpens our awareness in the most delicate ways, almost like someone turning the dial ever so slightly on an old radio, helping us tune into frequencies we didn't realize we were missing. During this time, you may notice that your intuition becomes clearer, more potent. Your inner voice, often buried beneath the noise of everyday obligations, gains strength. It speaks in feelings, symbols, whispers, dreams. Maybe you've already noticed it. A passing thought that stops you in your tracks. A dream that lingers long after waking. A sign or synchronicity that feels too precise to ignore. These moments aren't random. They're the quiet magic of Mercury at work. Subtle but powerful, like the soft rustle of wind through trees, carrying messages if we're still enough to receive them. Sometimes Mercury doesn't deliver its wisdom in loud declarations or crystal-clear answers. Sometimes it's just a fleeting sense of knowing, a moment where your body seems to understand before your mind can catch up. You might find yourself moved by a sentence in a book you've read a dozen times before, but suddenly it hits you differently, striking a chord within. Or perhaps someone says something casually, unaware that their words are exactly what you needed to hear. These are not coincidences. They are reminders that the universe speaks in many tongues, and Mercury is its translator during times like this. Now is not the moment to rush into action or chase immediate clarity. This isn't about solving everything or forcing things into neat conclusions. Instead, it's about being present with what arises, however subtle or mysterious it may seem. Mercury's energy here supports a deeper kind of understanding, the kind that comes not from external validation, but from a soulful place within. There is wisdom that wants to unfold naturally, in its own time, and it will if you give it the space to breathe. What Mercury is offering now is a kind of energetic stillness that amplifies the voice within. It invites us to slow down, to reflect with compassion, and to be mindful of the language we use, not just with others, but with ourselves. The words you speak, the thoughts you repeat, the beliefs you hold quietly inside, they are seeds. During this alignment, those seeds are fertile. The stories you tell yourself have more power now. Speak to yourself with kindness. Listen to your own truth. And when you do speak outwardly, choose words that carry the weight of your authenticity. Mercury's influence also brings us into closer contact with the symbolic world, the realm of metaphor, dreams, and intuitive impressions. This is a beautiful time to journal, to meditate, or to simply sit in silence and listen. You may find that certain symbols or themes keep recurring in your life. A specific animal, a particular number, a recurring dream image. Don't dismiss these things. They might be Mercury's way of guiding you through the fog, reminding you that the universe is interactive and that your soul recognizes these signs, even when your mind struggles to make sense of them. Wake a little earlier if you feel called. Stand beneath the quiet sky just before the sun breaks the horizon and look toward the east. Let the silence of that moment be a doorway. There is something sacred about those in-between times, dawn and dusk, waking and sleeping, speaking and listening. They are thresholds, liminal spaces where we are most open to insight. Mercury's energy is alive in those spaces. It whispers not just through language, but through sensation, intuition, and feeling. If you can meet that energy with openness, you might find yourself receiving exactly the clarity you didn't know you needed. In the realm of communication, this alignment also brings a heightened sensitivity. Pay attention to what others are saying, but even more so, pay attention to how it makes you feel. Does a certain word or conversation bring up unexpected emotion? Do you find yourself replaying a phrase in your mind long after the moment has passed? There could be something deeper beneath the surface. Mercury doesn't just carry words, it carries intention, resonance, meaning. Right now, we are all a bit more tuned in to that frequency. From a personal growth perspective, this is an incredibly supportive time for conscious reflection. If there's a truth you've been avoiding, something you haven't wanted to admit to yourself or say out loud, Mercury's gentle, clarifying energy may bring it to the surface. And when it does, don't run from it. Meet it with compassion and curiosity. There's no need for judgment here, just honesty. The kind of honesty that frees you from the weight of hiding. Maybe you've been circling around a decision, unable to find the right time or clarity to move forward. Now might not be the time to leap, but it is the time to ask yourself what's really holding you back. What fear, what pattern, what belief? Mercury is the great revealer right now, not in a dramatic, overwhelming way, but in a way that brings deep understanding and calm resolve. When you stop forcing clarity, it arrives more effortlessly than you imagined. This is also a beautiful moment for affirmations. Not the kind you recite mindlessly, but the kind that anchor you into truth. Words have power, and Mercury reminds us of this. Speak affirmations that feel real to you, that resonate in your bones, that move you emotionally. Say them softly under your breath, or write them down with intention. Let them be declarations not of what you hope to be, but what you already are, deep down, beneath the noise. And if your mind has been especially loud lately, racing thoughts, overthinking, replaying conversations, or worrying about the future, know that Mercury's invitation isn't to silence the mind, but to bring it into harmony with your heart. Let your thoughts be seen, but don't let them run the show. Bring them back into alignment with your intuition. Breathe, meditate, journal, sit in nature, speak to yourself gently, the way you would speak to someone you love. In relationships, this alignment may also open doors for deeper connection. Conversations might take on new depth. You may find that people are more willing to share, or that you feel safer expressing something you've kept inside. This is a time to speak your truth with grace, to choose honesty over perfection, and to listen not just to the words being said, but to the emotion behind them. Let your conversations be sacred spaces, not battles to win, but opportunities to understand. And in your relationship with yourself, let this be a time of reunion, a time to come back to the quiet parts of you that you've neglected. Mercury is reminding us that insight doesn't always come in a flash of lightning. It often comes as a slow dawning, as a quiet, knowing that builds over time, as a thread of clarity that weaves its way through your days until suddenly, it all makes sense. Trust that. So if you feel called to pause, to breathe a little deeper, to step away from the noise and check in with your inner compass, honor that You are being invited into a deeper alignment with your truth, into a quieter, wiser rhythm that's always been there beneath the surface. Mercury is not just the messenger, it's also the mirror. During this alignment, it holds up a mirror to our inner world and asks us to look with loving awareness. What beliefs are still guiding your choices? What thoughts are shaping your reality? What truths have you been whispering to yourself that deserve to be spoken aloud? Let this be a time of revelation, but let it be soft. Let it be sacred. And when those moments of unexpected clarity arrive, whether through a line you overhear, a memory that resurfaces, or a sudden wave of understanding, pause and receive them. They are not accidents. They are part of the dialogue between you and the universe. And Mercury is the bridge. In the coming days, keep your heart open. Keep your senses sharp. Pay attention to what repeats, to what lingers, to what stirs something deep within you. This is not a storm of change. It's a gentle shift, a realignment, an invitation into greater honesty, presence, and intuition. Let it guide you. Let it hold you. And most importantly, let it remind you that you are always connected to something deeper, something wiser, something that knows exactly where you are and where you are meant to go. Whether you're healing from recent miscommunication, preparing to express something heartfelt, or simply yearning for a deeper sense of clarity and peace, the current cosmic energy is gently holding space for you. There's no need to rush. There's no pressure to have it all figured out. This moment isn't about productivity in the traditional sense. It's about presence. It's about tuning into yourself, your truth, and the subtle guidance that life has always been offering you, even in the quietest ways. When Mercury reaches its greatest western elongation on April 21st, it steps out from the blinding light of the sun and into visibility, still subtle, still elusive, but easier to spot for those who are awake and watching. In astrology and energetic work, Mercury is the messenger, the planet of communication, thought, and expression. But it's also so much more. Mercury holds the power of translation, not just between people, but between your higher self and your human experience. It bridges the divine and the practical. And during this alignment, that bridge is clearer, more accessible, and ready to be walked. This is not a time for overcomplicating things. It's a time for simplification, for streamlining, and for getting to the heart of what matters most. There's a magic in simplicity that we often overlook in our fast-paced world. When Mercury elongates and the pre-dawn sky holds that delicate hush before sunrise, a sacred stillness wraps around everything. It's in that stillness where your deepest insights often emerge, not with noise, not with fanfare, but with quiet certainty. So much of our lives are filled with doing, achieving, managing, multitasking, overthinking, but this cosmic moment invites you to step out of that cycle and into being. It whispers, be still, be aware, be curious, be present, and above all, be honest with yourself, with others, and with what you truly need in this moment. If you've been carrying the weight of unspoken truths, lingering decisions, or confusion about your next steps, let this Mercury moment become a turning point. Not by forcing answers, but by creating space for clarity to rise naturally, like Mercury itself, finally shining again after weeks of being hidden in solar glare. One of the most accessible ways to connect with this energy is through a simple practice: rising early and stepping outside just before the sun climbs over the horizon. Even if Mercury is veiled behind clouds or lost to city lights, its energy is still present. Its wisdom is still moving through the ethers. You don't need to see Mercury to feel its presence. Just as you don't need perfect circumstances to receive inner clarity. The act of showing up, of greeting the stillness, of pausing to breathe with the earth before the world wakes up, that's enough. That's sacred. The early morning sky has always been a place of reflection and spiritual connection. Before technology, before noise, before to-do lists and deadlines, there was only the earth and the sky. Our ancestors used these times to align with the cosmos and reconnect with themselves. And now, you have the chance to do the same. In those tender pre-dawn hours, your mind is more spacious, your heart is more open, your intuition isn't competing with the noise of the day. It can speak freely, and it will, if you allow it. This is a beautiful time to journal, not just as a mental exercise, but as a form of soul communion. Let your pen be a channel for the truths you've been afraid to say out loud. Let your journal be a sacred witness to your unfolding. You don't need to structure it or make it pretty. Just write. Write what hurts. Write what confuses you. Write what you're excited about but scared to begin. Write the things you haven't told anyone yet. The act of writing itself is alchemy. It transforms thoughts into form, emotion into release, and chaos into clarity. Mercury, as the ruler of communication, supports this deeply. But Mercury is also neutral. It doesn't decide the message, it simply carries it. So, be mindful of what you're speaking into existence right now. Be intentional with your words. Be clear with your inner voice. Because when you get honest with yourself, everything else begins to align. Mercury doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to be real. If there are conversations you've been avoiding, ones that require vulnerability or courage, consider whether this moment might offer a safe space to begin. Not every conversation has to happen immediately, but acknowledging what needs to be said is a powerful first step. Mercury's energy is about connection, but not just externally. It's about connecting your thoughts to your truth to your voice, and your voice to the world around you in an aligned, conscious way. You might find that synchronicities increase during this time. You might overhear someone say exactly what you needed to hear. You might notice repeating symbols, numbers, or dreams that feel like messages. Mercury, the cosmic messenger, often speaks in these subtle ways. It doesn't always use words. Sometimes its guidance comes in feelings, instincts, or small nudges that won't leave you alone. So pay attention, stay open. Don't brush off the things that keep showing up. They're likely trying to guide you somewhere meaningful. And if you're feeling foggy or overwhelmed, remember, clarity doesn't always come in one big flash of insight. Sometimes it arrives like a sunrise, slowly, steadily, and in layers. You don't have to see the full picture to start moving forward. Just take the next step that feels honest. That's enough. That's brave. Setting intentions right now can be especially potent. You might light a candle, sit in stillness, and speak your intention aloud, or write it down and place it under your pillow, trusting the subconscious to work with it through the night. Whether it's about your purpose, a relationship, or simply asking for clearer guidance, your intention acts as a beacon. It tells the universe, I'm ready. And when you declare that readiness with an open heart, the path begins to illuminate in its own time and in its own way. Don't be surprised if unexpected insights come to you in the middle of something ordinary, a walk, a shower, a moment of pause. That's how Mercury works. It weaves wisdom into the in-between moments. So trust those flashes of knowing, those gentle ahas. They matter. They're not random. Mercury's presence during its greatest elongation is not loud. It's not shouting for your attention. It's subtle, but profound. It requires you to slow down and truly listen. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to your intuition. Listen to the way your body reacts in different environments. Listen to the way your energy shifts when you speak certain truths or entertain certain possibilities. These are the tools Mercury offers: awareness, reflection, and choice. This is your opportunity to return to yourself, to rise above the noise of the world, the confusion of others' opinions, the fear of making the wrong move. Mercury, emerging from the solar glare, symbolizes you rising from distraction, from hesitation, from self-doubt. You are not being asked to figure it all out right now. You are being asked to remember who you are and what feels true to you. When you look to the sky and see Mercury, or simply imagine it shimmering on the horizon, you are seeing a reflection of your own potential for clarity, insight, and aligned action. The cosmos is not separate from you. It moves in rhythm with your spirit. And just as Mercury reemerges, so do you. This is your time to speak from your truth, to think with purpose, and to allow your inner wisdom to guide your next chapter. And even as the days move on and Mercury continues its celestial dance, don't lose this connection. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you that clarity is not something you find outside of yourself. It's something you remember within. Life moves fast. There's always something calling for your attention. But the sky offers these rare, gentle pauses. These sacred alignments where you're invited to slow down, reflect, and realign with what really matters. Let this moment be one of those sacred pauses. Let it be a reset. Let it inspire you to move forward with more intention, more mindfulness, and more trust in yourself and in the universe. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not without guidance. Everything you need to know is already within you, sometimes buried under noise, but never gone. And the energy of Mercury right now is offering you the perfect opportunity to unearth that wisdom and bring it to light. As this celestial window begins to close, carry Mercury's deeper message with you, the message of truth, of inner clarity, and of sacred communication. You are not at the mercy of life's unknowns. You are a co-creator of your experience. You have the ability to ask for guidance, to listen for answers, and to move forward even when the path is uncertain. Trust the process. Trust your timing. Trust that clarity will continue to unfold as you remain present and curious. Let your voice rise in its authentic tone. Let your thoughts take shape in their truest form. Let your truth move freely through you, not to be judged, but to be honored. You're walking this path with the support of something bigger than yourself. You're not alone in this. The universe is beside you. The energy is already working in your favor. All that's required of you is to stay open, to remain receptive to the guidance that's already finding its way to you. And so, as this message finds its end, let your next chapter begin. Let Mercury's energy infuse your words, your thoughts, your dreams. Let it remind you of the power you hold, to communicate with love, to listen with presence, and to create a life that aligns with your truth. If this message resonated with you, take a moment and speak it into the world. I trust the path ahead, and clarity is mine. Let that affirmation be your anchor. And if you'd like more soulful messages like this, don't forget to subscribe to Sacred Promises, where cosmic wisdom and heartfelt guidance are always just a breath away. Clarity isn't coming. It's already here, and it's waiting for you to claim it.